Hi, welcome to this week's edition of Rise, the podcast. Rise stands for Rise Up, Inspire and Impact Socially Aware Entrepreneurs. And we're with a fellow I had the pleasure of meeting, and actually he taught me at a conference we were at. Seems like so long ago, but it was only, like what, 2.5 years ago that we were
Yeah,
in Northumberland in Coburg at the the sort of, I guess, their version of the Bridges to Better Business conference, or for Small Business Month. And with me is founder of locally based startups, Media Crate and Think Ditto, and the podcast In Systems We Trust. It's Marquis Murray. He's both the principal and a man of principle. He's keen to embrace small town life. He moved with his family from Ajax to Coburg so that he and his wife and kids could build their lives in Northumberland County. The attractions and opportunities, of course, were obvious, but as a Black business owner and newcomer, Marquis faced particular challenges as well. So we're going to talk about his challenges, his business, and some really good takeaways for you today. Marquis, welcome. I guess my first question is, what made you move there? What was it about the land or the vibe in Northumberland County that had you move from Ajax, where you had that close proximity to the big city as well, where Northumberland County, a little further east? What was it that inspired that move to happen?
yeah, I'll definitely answer that. First off, just love to say thanks for having me here. It's good to reconnect and see you after so long. Yeah, it feels like it was forever ago. I mean, we weren't wearing masks at that point.
I know.
It was a different world.
Yeah. I call it BC, not before Christ, but before COVID.
Before COVID. That's a good one. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, what really inspired the move? I mean, we have my wife and I, we've been married for 10 years now, and we have 6-year-old twin boys, and we were living in Ajax with our dog in our 2-bedroom apartment, or house, sorry, I should say. And we just needed some more space. That was really the biggest thing. And what really drew us to Coburg in Northumberland County is, for me, I didn't grow up here, but there's a camp here. It's called the Lakeshore Pentecostal Camp. And I spent a lot of time there when I was a kid, both attending the camp and meeting up with friends. And, it was just very familiar to me. And obviously, like, being close enough to Coburg, we had heard of Coburg Beach. And so growing up, I remember our family would pack us all in the van, and we'd drive what felt like forever to this place called Coburg, and we would spend the day at the beach and get ice cream at Dairy Dream. And so it was just really familiar for me. And when we were looking for a space to live, Ajax was just feeling like it was the housing market was starting to get really busy, and people were coming out from the west, and it was just really competitive. And even though we did really well on the sale of our home in Ajax, we just honestly couldn't afford to buy something else in Ajax.
Yeah.
And so we looked east, and Coburg made sense. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I was sitting on the beach at Coburg with my wife, and our 6-month-old kids were in their.
Whoa, he just froze.
It's like it was really a cool moment, because we just said, hey, we have to live here. This was it. It just felt right. And so that's what drew us. We saw our house within 3 days. We made an offer, it was accepted, and began the countdown and the move out to this way.
Okay, you froze when you were talking just now. So can you just backtrack? Yeah, it's just like all of a sudden, whoop.
Okay.
Backtrack to moving out, making the move with the kid.
Yeah.
If you could just kind of repeat that for our
sure. Yeah. I'll back it up a little bit. They're not sure where it cut off, but yeah, we had done really well on the sale of our home in Ajax, but we just couldn't afford to move there. And so we were looking east. And because I was so familiar with Coburg, we took a drive one day, and we just wanted to see what the market looked like. And we were on the beach, and I remember it for the rest of my life. I looked at my wife, and our 6-month-old babies were in their stroller and their bucket seats. And we both just looked at each other, and it just felt right. We just said, we have to live here. And within 3 days, we had seen our house, made an offer, and had it accepted. And so it just, all the pieces fell in place really, really nicely.
And living there, did the community embrace you? Did you embrace the community? Like you did go
Yeah.
through some challenges. What were some?
Yeah. Initially, I mean, no, there weren't a ton of challenges, I would say. Coming into a place like Coburg and, being a Black man and having um, kids that are biracial it was difficult for me initially. I mean, driving around Coburg, you don't see a lot of familiar faces, and we drove by a lot of the schools that our kids would one day attend, and I just thought to myself, did we make a mistake coming here, specifically for the kids? And so Ajax is very multicultural. The Durham region and the GTA is very multicultural, but we didn't see that here. And some friends were, had their thoughts about that, but we didn't let that deter us. I mean, we wanted to be here. We knew that it would be better for our kids, and so that's ultimately what led to making that decision. Um, the kids and us have had a few, run-ins at various places with various people. I don't know how much in detail we want to get, but there's definitely been some things that made us think, is this the best place for us? But ultimately, we know that as long as we're together and we're raising up our kids and teaching them, what the world may look like for them based on my experiences growing up, I think as long as we're just talking about those things and preparing them for those situations when they do arise.
Yeah, it's really about educating, and
Mhm.
you can look at the situation in Coburg and say, have a poor me attitude, or you can say, you know what, I'm a soul living
Mhm.
in this world. I deserve to belong. Everybody deserves to be here and to contribute in their way, right?
Right.
Yeah. So it
Yeah,
sounds like
exactly.
you embrace that. And do you feel like maybe we talked before we started recording today about, you have a religious and your
Yeah.
faith. So do you think that helped you sort of overcome some of those challenges? And
Um, yeah, I think like my faith teaches me to just love everybody, right? Treat others as I would want to be treated. Um, my neighbors, both like physically and as far as proximity goes, and the people that live in Coburg and Northumberland and GTA. I mean, I don't think there's ever an instance where I harbor any type of feelings to people unless, provoked. But yeah, I think we just, I was taught at a really young age just to put on thick skin, right? My parents, I think, prepared us for that as well. And so I was able to really look past it because I'd overcome a lot of that personally. It's just to see that, in many cases, racism is still alive and well. Um, and just having to know that and again, educate the kids as time goes on. But for the most part, there's been an outpouring of support in the community. A couple of years back, we had the Black Lives Matter
yeah,
movement and parade that came through. Protests that came through, and so we were a part of that, and we're able to include our kids in that as well. And it was a time for education for a lot of our neighbors and friends who thought this is horrible. We got texts, we got phone calls, we got emails and Instagram DMs of sorries. I had no idea. How are you doing? What can I do to help and support? And so there were a lot of people that had good intentions, and we really felt a show of support there. And we also got to see a lot of people's true colors
yeah,
as well. But
yeah,
again, it's easy for us to separate the two and just keep the focus on our family and what's best for us.
yeah. And please God, one day we don't even have to even talk about this, like,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Like sooner rather than later, because at the end of the
That's
day,
it.
it doesn't matter. So
Yeah.
well, it does, but it doesn't. Now, I want to just get back into the meat of what I really wanted to talk about. You started
Hmm.
two businesses from scratch.
Right.
You were able to now with this move, were you able to stay connected to your clientele that you built up in Ajax? Was anything affected there, or was it business as usual, just different location?
Yeah, I'll give you the Cole's Notes version of what was happening from a career perspective while that move was taking place. So I mentioned my kids were 6 months when we moved out here. I had taken a 7-month parental leave when they were born. It was supposed to originally be 4 months, and then it got extended because we just weren't ready to to just go back to work and
Yeah,
life as
cut the
normal.
cord.
Yeah, exactly. And so in that time, we made the move. I was doing some freelance work, and because of the marketing agency that would be created shortly in the future, I had clientele that I was doing online work for, and I've been doing freelance work for years, whether it's building websites or doing social media. That was really what I love to do, and it was a part-time, spare time at the end of my full-time job kind of thing, weekend warrior, more or less. And so coming here, I knew that that's a space that I wanted to get back into. The job that I had taken a break from, I knew I didn't want to go back into that field, and the thought of, you know, having the freedom to freelance and pick my own clients and ultimately be at home with my kids was very attractive. And so I started looking in the area in Coburg and Port Hope and Northumberland for clients, and stumbled across an agency that was close by. And
We'll just wait. He's frozen again. Um, Man, must be something in the air today.
I know it froze again, so I
Yeah.
paused.
So it was like, and
Oh,
so you found an agency in
there you go. Yeah, I'll
and
start right from there.
yeah,
I don't know what's up with my internet today. Sorry about that.
it's okay.
Yeah, so I found an agency nearby, and I thought, you know, this is a great opportunity for me because I'm a freelancer. Maybe I can get in some more consistent work out here and still be at home with my family. And so I reached out to the agency, and over a few months, it took a little bit, but I essentially identified some problems with their website, with their social media, and offered to come in and support them and fix it. So they brought me in as one of their freelance contractors, and 3 months later offered me a full-time digital marketing manager position. And so I sat in that seat for about a year. I still had my clients at home. They were kind of on the side, but I was in this new agency space. And so it was really nice that I could do that because, again, I had the freedom to be at home. I had the freedom to work when I wanted, until that freedom was slowly pulled away, and I was called into the office full time. And so it didn't really work for me because, again, my goal was to be at home with my family. And so I made the decision after a year to not go freelance again, but to create my own agency. And that's when Media Crate was born.
Oh,
Uh,
so
yeah,
you were an early adopter on the this great resignation we've been hearing about the past year or so.
absolutely.
As people are working from home and getting the taste of the other side, and what it could look like. The trend is, hey, we're going to just leave the company we're working with and do our own thing. So you're
Yeah, exactly.
an adopter. Now that initial venture, Media Crate, in the digital marketing field, you
Mhm.
learned some valuable life and business lessons that you had to make some changes, or that was going to be
Yes,
the end of you pretty fast.
that's
What
right.
was that journey like, first of all, and when did the idea for Think Ditto happen?
Yeah, great question. Thankfully, taking the risk and jumping out and being an entrepreneur, it worked out. It doesn't always work out in a lot of cases, and my venture out might have been premature. But I felt confident, and I had the full support of my wife to go out and make this change. And so it was just me. I had my handful of clients, and over time, I guess it was working because I was gathering more clients and I had people emailing me. And through the local business centers, um, I had the opportunity to do a lot of speaking engagements and different workshops. And so that helped in my exposure as well. So I'm eternally grateful for the business centers here in Northumberland County, and the people there, just for like coming around and really giving business owners opportunities to grow. And so, long story short, team was growing, company was growing, clients were coming on, and I just needed more help. And so I started hiring other freelance contractors. And um, every time that I hired someone else, I had to spend my time away from client work or growing the business or doing a speaking engagement to train them. And so I was doing the same things over and over and over again. And they were asking the same questions over and over and over again. And I said, why don't I just write this down and then they can have it for the next time, and we can have it there. And so that's really where Ditto like really started, was that concept. Along with websites and marketing, we also helped companies get set up with different project management tools. And because I was doing sales, I saw the benefit of like a CRM. And so we helped our clients implement CRMs and project management tools. And this thing of documenting processes became kind of the norm for me. I'd record a video of how I do something, give it to a team member, and they had access to it. And so to make a really long story short, I had a mentor, and I was kind of at this precipice of, am I a marketing guy or am I an operations guy? Because I really like the operations.
Yes, and I hear you. And one's very creative, and one's very sort of, analytical. I got to think through processes and systems. So how did you marry the two then? And what do you love more now? Do you love the operations or the marketing?
It's the operations. And actually, at the time of this recording, on March 24th, 22, we actually closed the marketing agency back in September.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it was time to make a full commitment to one or the other. My time was getting really short, and I was riding the line. I had one foot in each business and not giving my full attention to either. And so it just didn't feel fair to our clients. It didn't feel fair to me or my family. Didn't feel fair to my team, who I had different people on both sides that I was managing. And so I had to make a decision. But what this really looked like and where this went is I connected with a mentor, and I was having this internal conflict, and he encouraged me to go away for a day. Don't take your computer, don't take your phone, just bring a yellow legal pad and a pen, and just get all your thoughts out. And out of that came this understanding that, like myself, who was struggling and drowning and staying up till all hours of night doing work, and just feeling this burnout because you're wearing so many hats in your business, I thought, wow, there are other people, other of my clients, that are experiencing the same problem. There must be more people out there like me. And I'm a creative at heart. And so that's where it really started, was how do we help other creatives create order, tame the chaos, create consistency in their business, get more of their time back, and ultimately live the life of freedom they started their businesses to achieve. That was the biggest thing, right? Like, we have this thought, like, I'm going to step out, start my own business. And then you realize, I don't know how to do my taxes. I don't know what bookkeeping, right? I need to do sales now. If I'm out doing a speaking engagement, who's actually doing the work? And so there's this need to document this. And so I started offering those services to our clients, and Media Crate was going through a bit of a rebranding at the time to offer both marketing and operations and some system stuff. But then March 2020 happened, and all of our marketing clients kind of said, hey, we're out, we're not sure what's going on. And they put a hold on all their spend. So here I am. I have this infant, this fetus of an idea, and my main business is now on pause indefinitely because the world shut down.
Yeah.
And I'll wrap it up by saying this: I had a decision to make, and it was either sit at home and wait for something, or turn this over and get to work. And so within 8 hours, I built my website. I had the name. That's another story for another time. And I said, okay, I guess Ditto's launching. This is it. So I put up the website in 8 hours, started promoting it, and the rest is history.
Now, one thing I notice about you, Marquis, is that you love to give to others and help others. And where did that come from? Where did you learn that spirit of giving and teaching and sharing? Because that's really I think maybe a strong point for you. And then you mentioned a mentor. So who mentored you to as well? Like, who were your influences in terms of the work you do now?
Yeah, I think I can't put any one point or draw any one point to like how I became that way, but I think it's just always been in my nature. What two of our core values at Ditto are helping others and doing meaningful work. So on the side of meaningful work, mental health is very important to me and a lot of people that work with me. And so we've chosen to support a certain charity, the Canadian Mental Health Association,
Excellent.
because it's meaningful. They're creating resources that are helping others. And a lot of the work that we do in Ditto is helping business owners, helping teams align, helping them to not experience burnout, helping them to gain visibility and clarity into their businesses. And so that's really what we're trying to do, is eliminate team burnout and support teams. So that ties directly into my core values. And yeah, I would say that's always been important to me. I'm a Christian, and I just believe that, you know, you should help your neighbor. I just think, why not? And so any opportunity I can see to help, I'm right there. I mean, I never tell these kinds of stories, but I mean, I was in the airport yesterday. I was coming back from a business trip, and there was a gentleman who was visually impaired, and he had his wand. He was trying to, you know, find where to go, and all these people are just rushing past, and I could tell he's listening for where the crowd is going, but he can't see where he's going. There's no audible. And so everyone's passing him by, and I can see him struggling. He's walking into the corner. He's trying to exit, but he's going the completely wrong way. And so everyone's just passing by it. You know, I think back to like the Good Samaritan in the Bible, like everyone's just passing this person by, and I stopped and I asked him if he needed help. And he did. He was struggling to find the exit. And then when we approached the exit, he didn't know whether it was stairs or, you know, it was an automatic door. But like I took my time and walked him through because he just needed help. And so I just try and apply that not only in life, but in business, because like we have to help each other. We have to look around. We have to stop being so selfish and just think of our neighbors above our own needs.
Wow. And I like how you're building your foundation on those values. I think is really
Mhm.
important moving forward. And I'd like to think that people watching, getting into business or in business now, maybe they make a realignment and be more
Mhm.
value based. So who helped you along the line? Who stands out for you as a big influencer in your life and your journey?
Yeah, there are so many. Like I have a lot of friends. Someone early in my career, his name's Jake Nicole, really good friend of mine, helped me through a lot, helped me build a lot of the foundational stuff for Media Create as well behind the scenes. But the mentor specifically that brought me to this point of decision making, his name is Kyle, who also happens to be a marketing agency owner, who also happened to have twins, young twins. And so I was just tired of hearing from all the gurus who are, you know, in their early 20s and maybe have some generational wealth. And, you know, all you have to do is this 5-step thing and just sleep less and get up at 3 a.m. and, you know, hustle, hustle, hustle. And that wasn't me. That was never going to be me, because similar to Kyle, I had kids at home. And though I never used them as a crutch or as an excuse, it's just my life was very different from the narrative that was being sold to prospective agency owners looking to grow. And so Kyle was able to just give me a really good understanding of how he got his start and how he had built his agency up over the last 10 years, his very successful agency. And so we just had a lot of good conversations. He was also a believer. And so we had an opportunity to really connect and bond. And I'm eternally grateful for his direction. He actually ended up being a client eventually, but I think we're better as friends. But just eternally grateful for the time that he invested in me, and how he encouraged me, because I don't think I'd be here today if it wasn't for him.
Oh, I like that. You know, many entrepreneurs, and I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, because to me, they get stuck on the idea they have as a business, but they bypass two things. And this is my bailiwick is number one. Number one is how to get clients. So they
Mhm.
bypass selling, right? Oh, I'll just
Yeah.
post on social media more often. I'll just do this. I'll build the nice website and I'll get business. It doesn't work that way. You have to build your relationships. But the
That's
other
right.
is how to structure the business so it works like a well-oiled machine. And
Mhm.
I really like what you're doing with Ditto then, because I think you know, helping entrepreneurs to have that structure so that it works well is really vital. Because
Mhm.
and tell me what I know what you're tight for time, so I got a couple of questions left. But
Sure.
you know, I think what's really important for entrepreneurs moving forward is to design their business, or as Michael Gerber said, work on the business, design it in such a way
Yeah.
that it's not only serving the customer, but it's creating really good experiences for the customer. What's your take?
I'm a huge fan of Michael Gerber. I read his book a couple times before making this leap, before having this entrepreneurial seizure. um,
That's it, is it?
but yeah, exactly. So just to best answer the question, like I absolutely agree with that, right? Um, I think a lot of people are missing that. They think that they can, kind of jump out and do it on their own, and haven't thought beyond just the next step, right? Like they get there and then it's like they're frozen. What do we do next? And so I absolutely agree with that. Everything that Michael outlines in his books. I'm trying to remember the second part of that question. Sorry, David.
Oh, just the idea of designing the experience, like creating
Yeah.
experiences for your customer.
Yeah. So important. Within Ditto, we have like a client success manager, and their only role is to make sure that the client is heard, understood, and is happy. Right. And so I think a lot of our metrics are wrapped around that experience that the customer feels. And that stems from everything from what your marketing says and how you're presented, to what your sales cycles feel like and look like. Is it clear to the prospect? Is it broken down? Are you addressing the problem versus just talking about yourself? Right? Are you pushy? Are you understanding? Are you really in it to help? And along with Asana, we're HubSpot partners, and their thing is like always be helping, not always be closing, but always be helping. How can you help people? How can you better their experience? And so that's always been really core for us. And we send out surveys and we ask for their feedback, and we have various support channels, and we have a public facing or a client facing like knowledge base, where like our full process from onboarding until training and support, everything in between is all documented for them with videos and templates, and right, so they never feel alone. So we're not just selling them and then promising a bunch of things and not delivering, but we're thinking about the entire life cycle of that relationship and how we can really help them and continue to wow them. So very, very much a big focus in what we do every day.
Yeah. Evan Carmichael, I don't know if you know him, but he's a big YouTuber and marketing guy based in the GTA. He wrote a book a few years ago called Your One Word, and to drill down the one word that represents your whole business. Mine is #commitment, but it sounds like yours would be #helping.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last two questions. What are some trends in business that we as founders need to be mindful of in the next year or two? If you were to gaze into a crystal ball, what do you think? What do we need to be mindful
What
of?
do we need to be mindful of? I'm going to answer that question from the perspective of the crystal ball that's looking into your future. And so what I think all owners need to be thinking about when it comes to the future is scalability and succession planning. The problem that we often solve, and what Michael Gerber even talks about, is the owner is that technician, the person that's so good at doing that one thing, right? But then they start this business and they're not only doing that one thing, but they're doing everything else, right? They're working in the business, not on the business. And so it's really about as you scale, if your goal is to scale and not grow, but scale, right? So you can be profitable and more effective in what you do, is to write down everything that you do, because you're going to need help. You have to stop doing it all yourself, even though you may be able to do it faster, easier. You might think you're saving money, right? But it's costing you money because it's keeping you away from other revenue generating opportunities and where your business really needs you to be. So just getting comfortable with delegating early, often, right? And trusting the team of intelligent people that you have trusted to come into your business, right? Nothing's worse than a team that wants to support their leaders, but isn't given the opportunity. And so, sorry, did you have a question?
No, I'm just agreeing with
No.
you. I totally.
Yeah.
It's like you've hired these people, and it's hard for entrepreneurs to, it's like,
Mhm.
your kids to the babysitter,
Yeah,
and you have to trust them, and with that, the task.
exactly. Yeah. So definitely delegating and just having that mindset that um, when it comes to process is asking yourself the question, am I the only person that knows this information? And would others benefit from having this information? Right. The answer is always yes. Some people like to use the hit by a bus analogy. I don't like that one because it's morbid. But if you needed to be away, if you needed to go pick up your kids from school and they were sick and you couldn't work, or you wanted to take a vacation, right? Do you remember vacations? If you wanted to take a vacation and you needed to be off the grid away, just, recharging, would you be able to do that? Can you take off even a full 1 or 2 days from your business without things falling apart, without someone, sending you a Slack message that they need your help? I think that's a really good measure of your success is if you can do that and step away and your business is still running, you're on the right track. So just gearing up for that and just thinking bigger, thinking future forward versus just in the now.
Yeah. What's next for you, and where do we reach you?
Yeah, what's next? I mean, we just released our 2025 Vivid Vision, so it's looking 3 years into the future to see where Ditto's heading, where we're going. We have a lot of big, hairy, audacious goals that we want to achieve. We're going to be focusing a lot on customer success over this next 3 years, I should say. A lot on internal team happiness as well. So understanding that sewing into your people will make for a better culture. And we're focused on partnerships this year, really working with our partners to help and serve others as well. If you want to check that out, you can go to thinkditto.com and download your own copy. If you want to catch up with me, I'm on LinkedIn, Marquis Murray. And yeah, I'm pretty much always there.
I really thank you for this. This is great. And I'm glad you gave a shout out to where we met at the BECN event with
Thank you. Yeah.
Diane Nade back then, and now
Yes.
Caitlin Copeland. So, uh,
Yeah.
for those watching too, like, and you're starting a business or you're in a business, don't forget, like, every community in Ontario, there's a small business enterprise center that can really
Mhm.
help. And then if you really want to level up, you go to a guy like Marquis and
Yeah.
really make it happen, right? So
Sure. Thanks.
uh,
Thanks, David.
yeah, and thank you for this. This was a joy, and nice to connect with you again.
You as well. I had a good time. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, my pleasure. I'm just going to stop the recording. For those of you watching today, thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week with some really good content on Rise, the podcast. And until then, stay well and do well as well.